Joseph Robinette Rogan has had an interesting last 5 years or so. Ever since COVID, he is kind of he's kind of lost his mind. I think COVID broke the man's brain. Back in the day, when he was still in LA, he was talking to all kinds of celebrities. Joe was kind of the everyman. He didn't really know a whole lot, but he was always curious. He was always, asking questions. And he would bring on all kinds of interesting celebrities. I used to watch him back in the day when he would bring on musicians that I liked. I saw an interview that he did with Diamond David Lee Roth. I thought that was really good. He interviewed Maynard James Keenan from Tool. I'm a big fan. So, I mean, and of course, he's always in his MMA, fighting, and what have you. So he's mixing it up between celebrities, comedians, musicians. He delved into politics a little bit. As a matter of fact, he was a Bernie fan for a little while. He had Bernie on his program, and he didn't endorse him, but he kind of semi-endorsed him. And then, of course, everybody on the right wing got really mad at him, and a few centrist liberals got mad at him too, because the centrist liberals didn't like Bernie. But, Joe was a fan. And then COVID happened, and it kind of broke his brain a little bit. Now, Joe Rogan has always been a conspiracy guy. He's always very dogged in his conspiracy theories. Mostly it's got to do with with aliens, when he goes off on his alien tangents. And, get Joe halfway in the middle of a show when he's already 2 joints in and he's fucking high as a kite. Sometimes you can get some interesting dialogue and information out of him. But at the same time, after COVID, a lot of stuff started changing for him, and his conspiracies got more into the vaccine. And we all remember his cold plunge days, and his ivermectin arguments, and hydroxychloroquine, and there was some other shot or some other medication that he would take that was actually really expensive that most people couldn't get. But he ended up catching COVID, and he threw the kitchen sink at it. Of course, everything but the vaccine, because, there's magnets in there or something, or they're putting a chip inside of your brain. Anyway, last week, all anybody could talk about was the Elon Musk, Donald Trump, internet spat. Each one of these asshats has their own social media. They bought their own social media platforms so they can bitch and complain about how victimized they are. And all they do is bitch and complain. And they spend the majority of their time on social media. One of them just happens to be the most powerful man in the world, the president. And one of them happens to be the richest guy in the world. And the fact that these two can be bickering like teenage girls on the internet Googles that can actually affect economics across the planet, these two children should not have this much power. Anyway, at the end of the big, Twitter Truth Social fight, because they're yelling at each other on their own platforms, and Elon Musk drops the time for the big bomb. The reason why they haven't released the Epstein files is because Donald Trump is in them. Have a nice day. Now, I remember back in at the beginning of Donald Trump's second term, he released all these files. These, and I believe, I'm trying to remember the girl's name. She ran Libs of TikTok. She was one of the people, and I think Jack Posobiec was one of the other ones, that they were standing outside the White House holding folders in their hand that they just released the Epstein files, and here they are. And then, of course, when they flip through them, it's just nothing but a bunch of black lines that were, all of the redacted, words that were in this file. Turns out that this file was basically the black book that Gawker released 10 years ago. So all of this information was already public. It was already out there. You know, Bill Clinton being on the Lolita Express, and Donald Trump was on the Lolita Express. Donald Trump first met his wife Melania and had sex with her on the Lolita Express. So, you know, and by the way, not to get off on a tangent, but Republicans are always screaming and yelling about, release the files, but Donald Trump's not in them. And it's like, well, you think Bill Clinton is in them, but you don't think Donald Trump is in them. Which part of the black book from Gawker do you want to believe? And they've somehow or the other managed to put that part out of their minds. And Joe Rogan has got Kash Patel on his Joe Rogan Experience, and he starts talking to Kash about the the Epstein situation, and let's take a look and see what they have to say. I find it pretty funny. First of all, this is not a comment on the way Kash Patel looks, but it kind of is, because this guy could tell me he had a turkey sandwich for lunch and I wouldn't believe him. He has got the most shifty kind of thing going on. But here he is on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan, you know, like I said, he is Mr. Conspiracy, and, you know, with all of, it was like maybe 3 weeks ago, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were on Fox News saying that the Epstein files, we've looked into it, and he killed himself. Meanwhile, a few years ago, Dan Bongino was going, yeah, Epstein killed himself. You know, I haven't seen any footage of Kash Patel saying anything different, but Dan Bongino has a podcast, and he obviously didn't believe it. And then now here they're both on with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News, and they're like, he killed himself. He killed himself. Trust me. Trust me. He killed himself. Anyway, so here he is on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan is, he wants to get to the bottom of this, and he thinks Kash Patel is going to have some answers for him.
That's the guy that's now in charge of the FBI. His leadership team is in place. We've got great partners at DOJ. We're the ones working on all this stuff. And and look, let's just get to it, because I know it's on people's minds. Epstein, right? The reason people are pissed off about that is the same thing, right? 20 years ago, or whenever it was, 2006, 7, 8, Epstein gets his sweetheart plea deal, right?
Right.
After committing the most horrific crimes on planet Earth, right? I wasn't in power there. I wasn't in place there. I had, nothing to do with it. But people were rightfully pissed. I mean, this guy was committing the most grotesque acts you can against children. And the media spins up about it. Many in the media protected him. Why? Because of his relationships, who he knew, who his bankers were, who his colleagues were, who was on the island and stuff like that. Some pretty powerful human beings.
By the way, he got that sweetheart deal. His sweetheart deal, I believe, was go to jail at night. And since he's got so many businesses and so much payroll to pay, that he has to go to work because there's so many employees that rely on him. So, excuse me, he would go to jail at night, and then he would be able to leave in the morning to go to work. And he would stay out all day, and then he would come back to jail at night and stay overnight. So that's the sweetheart plea deal he's talking about. And by the way, the lawyer that got that sweetheart plea deal, in 2008, U.S. Attorney Acosta, and let's take a look at this guy. That's this guy right here. This dude, Alexander Acosta. In 2008, U.S. Attorney Acosta approved a federal non-prosecution agreement with Jeffrey Epstein. The secret agreement conducted without consulting the victims, was later ruled illegal by a federal judge for violating the Crime Victims' Right Act. That was his attorney at the time. And let's see if that name sounds familiar to you. Alexander Acosta was Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor. Yeah, he used to work for George Bush when he was that attorney, and now he is Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor. So that is the person that gave him the sweetheart deal that everybody is so pissed about.
And so when you peel back the layer, and then what happened? The Trump administration, the last go round, decided, no, we're not going to let that go. We're going to investigate him, right? They charge him, they indict him, and he's awaiting trial. And I've said it, Dan Bongino said it, we've reviewed all the information, and the American public is going to get as much as we can release. He killed himself.
Okay, what does that mean, as much as we can release? So what he's saying is that he's got some information that he can't release. Why not? Okay, but all right.
Do you think, let's play out the logical conclusion of this. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on? But the problem is
I'll answer that. Yes, I think he would lie, because if Donald Trump is in those files, which he is because Gawker released them 10 years ago, he's in them. He was on the plane 7 times. 7 times. It's not that he would be defending Epstein. He's defending his daddy, his boss, Donald Trump. And, just in case you were wondering, Kash Patel did work under, I believe, Secretary Nunez under Donald Trump in his first term. Now, let's see if he's, let me see here. There's a cute, another little clip in here. Joe Rogan is questioning, let's get to Joe Rogan here, because he seems to be kind of dubious of this whole thing. Well, let's let it play.
15 years of people coming in and creating fictions about this that doesn't exist. Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing?
You got to keep in mind that Epstein is known to have just all of the dirt on all of the people. And the rumor has it that he was probably Mossad, certainly some kind of intelligence officer. So, to have that much dirt, hell, man, he's got a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress and red heels sitting on a couch, pointing out of the photo. So, him and Bill Clinton were definitely bros. He definitely's got some dirt on Bill Clinton. And by the way, I hate to jump around here, but remember last year, Donald Trump, before the election, was getting interviewed on Fox News, and they were asking would he release some files? Remember, he said he was going to release the JFK files, this is the 9/11 stuff, and then when they asked him about Epstein, he kind of gets a little squishy. Now, this is what Fox News released at that time. Now, I know this is kind of a tangent, but I want you to think about this. Donald Trump is suing, I believe, 60 Minutes for editing an interview that they did with Kamala Harris. That they cut out some stuff, and then he's like, I'm going to sue you guys because you were trying to manipulate the election by editing, which, by the way, most news media organizations do editing. That's kind of what happens. shit, on videos that I do editing. So, it's not like editing is just completely out of the ordinary. But, to pretend like you've never done an interview that hasn't been edited, well, have a look at this one.
Would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these.
Yeah.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would
I
you?
did. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
Guy?
And that's how they ended it. That's how they edited it. That's the little clip that they showed. Now, here is the full, unclipped, unedited version of it. Have a look.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these.
Yeah.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff
Yeah.
with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
9/11.
Yeah, I agree with him on that one. Yeah, hold on. What does he say?
Yeah, JFK, I'm with you. Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we wouldn't want some innocent people to have some information come. I mean, of course, we want Bill Clinton's information to come out, but I mean, there's some other people that could be, affected, poorly, and oh God, we wouldn't want that, man. So anyway, I keep going back to this. Joe starts going, he gets off on a tangent, and then he goes back to, he talks about this right here. Let's see what he's got to say.
Going back to the core of what I've been doing since I started Russiagate was to get, and
Right.
is to get everybody the information.
When did you get here? Epstein's autopsy points to homicide. Pathologist hired by
Joe's dogged. He's not giving up on this. He really wants to know.
other claims. New York City medical examiner strongly disputed the claim that the evidence from the autopsy suggested strangulation. So let's go to by the way, this is the New York Times, and they never lie. The private pathologist, Dr. Michael Baden, said the morning TV show Fox and Friends, Mr. Epstein experienced a number of injuries, among them a broken bone in his neck, that are extremely unusual in suicidal hangings and could occur much more commonly in homicidal strangulation. I think the evidence points to homicide rather than suicide, said Dr. Baden, who observed the autopsy done by city officials. Dr. Baden, a former New York City medical examiner and a Fox News contributor, said, I have not seen in 50 years where that occurred in suicidal hanging case. Findings by Dr. Baden were strongly disputed by the city's chief medical examiner, Dr. Barbara Sampson, who previously ruled that Mr. Epstein's death on August 10th in the Metropolitan Correctional Center was a suicide. I stand firmly behind our determination of the cause and manner of death in this case, Dr. Sampson said in the interview on Wednesday. She added, in general, fractures of the hyoid bone and cartilage can be seen in suicides and homicides. The hyoid bone is near...
Anyway, Joe goes on about this for a few minutes. And if you guys remember, Epstein was in jail in New York at the Metropolitan, Pokey, the lockup. And he was supposedly on suicide watch. And right before... I don't know if you guys remember, but Epstein supposedly attempted to kill himself one time previously before the time that he actually died. And he was in jail with, what's this guy's name? I keep trying to remember his name. Nicholas, let me see here. Former New York police officer and former cellmate, disgraced financier, Jeffrey Epstein. His name is Nicholas Tartaglione. Anyway, he was a former cop who turned drug dealer, and he was in jail with him before, while Epstein was on suicide watch. And then the day before, well, hold on, just to make sure, I'm pretty sure here. The day before he attempted to kill himself, Tartaglione shared a prison cell with Epstein at the Federal Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City and has been moved before Epstein's suicide in August of 2019. So, that guy would, some people speculated that he did it, whatever, but he was supposedly moved out before. That guy was accused of killing like 4 people, so not a good dude. And the day that he commits suicide Epstein commit suicide, not only did the 2 guards that were on duty fall asleep, you know, oh, well, it's nighttime, everybody falls asleep. Okay, yeah, man. People on night shift always fall asleep at night. Sure, okay. And the camera that had been working fine, you know, that was pointed down the hallway, for some reason, there was a couple of cameras, and for some reason, both of them crapped out at the same time. I mean, that's really coincidental, and I think Joe goes on to talk about that. So let me see.
Adam's Apple. Dr. Sampson also dismissed Dr. Baden's contention that the circumstances around Mr. Epstein's death suggested other people may have been involved. She said her office had done a complete investigation, taking into consideration information gathered by law enforcement in making the determination.
So this is a perfect example of going back to my public defender and prosecutor days. This
Anyway, he's still not. Joe is still not having it, and he goes back to it.
Can you pull that article up so we can read what it says, Jamie? U.S. prosecutor said the jail mistakenly saved footage from the wrong cell. Sorry. Epstein, a convicted sex offender, first tried to kill himself in July last year and hanged himself in jail.
Hang on.
Yep.
Reread that line.
That he first tried to kill himself in July of last year. Yeah.
How much of the American public do you think knows that?
I didn't know that.
I did.
Until right now.
There you go.
Maybe I heard it and forgot. Did you ever hear it, Jamie?
That's why he's on suicide watch, I think.
There you go.
Okay.
So a guy
Hanged himself in jail in August while serving trial on federal sex trafficking charge. He pleaded not guilty to abusing dozens of girls, some as young as 14. Yeah. Soon after Epstein's death in August, 2 of the CCTV cameras outside his cell had malfunctioned and were being examined by the FBI.
Both of them, huh?
Found semi-conscious in his prison cell with injuries on his neck. On 25 of July, after this incident, he's placed on suicide watch.
I'm not saying every single camera in the place.
So all of the cameras failed in his first suicide attempt and his second successful suicide attempt.
Working. I'm saying we've got footage and you're getting it, and then you can make up your own mind, and the theories can continue. But my job.
So you became aware of this footage recently.
The ones that we're looking at, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but this is like an article from quite a while ago that was saying that the footage was mistakenly erased.
Look, I mean, goes back to the same. Ask the people that were in power then. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, but that was your boy, Donald Trump. All this happened under Donald Trump. Bill Barr was his attorney general, I believe. It was your boy. That's who was asked. Who? Don't ask me. Ask somebody else, man.
Me to account for their actions, and
no, I'm not saying.
Not you.
I mean, come on, man. Don't ask me. I was too busy writing children's books. Yep, that's right. This right here. The Plot Against the King was written by Kash Patel. And I love that Kash put himself... there he is right there. There's old Kash right there. He is the wizard, and Donald Trump is the king. And that right there, that's Hillary Queenton, and she's the evil one. But, Kash wrote a children's book and put himself in it. That's just fucking lovely, man. That's just genius. Don't ask me, man. I was too busy writing my book.
Not you, just the public in general, and that's okay.
What's confusing to everybody today, first of all, it's very confusing because AI can kind of make anything. Which has got to be a bizarre position for you to be in when you're looking at videos.
Well, he's already talking himself out of it.
Videos look real as fuck, They just make Viking towns. I mean, it's really quite incredible what they're doing now, and it accelerates every month. I mean, I talked to Elon about it, and he said we're blown away literally every week. Every week there's some new breakthrough.
You mean Elon, the guy
wow,
that just released...
We didn't expect that.
Anyway.
Well, I can tell you, after having looked at it, this ain't going to be AI.
You don't think so?
You're gonna. It's just not great.
It's not.
It's like if it were AI, like someone wanted to come in and make it, they'd make it better.
But why would you make it better when people could, you could have ambiguous footage that is, totally generated by AI? I mean, AI can generate blurry images. AI can generate night vision. AI can generate essentially anything that's already existed, like really shitty 1984 VHS tapes. They can do that.
They can. But I'm telling you, I'm giving you the tape from the tape. There's just like I'm giving you the documents from the vault, just like I'm giving you information to Congress on COVID origins or what have you. What we find is what you're getting.
Okay, so now it's saying 2019, missing jail video from the first Jeffrey Epstein suicide. So for the first attempt has been found. So maybe, let's put it into perspective, jails are not the most efficient, best run places. It's not like
Fort Knox?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's, yeah.
You know, we're working with what we got.
Right.
So
Anyway, there's a little bit more here. I wanted to get to it. It gets a little sketch right here as well. I mean, look, I'm not supposed to be judging anybody by the way that they look, but goddamn, man, Kash just is not a trustworthy looking dude, man.
From the island.
Oh, sorry. So you're talking about two different things. So
sorry.
So again, we're going to give you everything we can, and people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening.
Okay, so he is saying, I'm going to release some stuff, but there's going to be some stuff that I'm not going to release because, you know, we got to protect the victims. Well, let's see here. This right here. A survivor of sexual assault by Jeffrey Epstein urged the Trump administration to release the case files about the disgraced financier, as it promised to do after weeks of delay. And by the way, this was pretty recent, May 14th, so just a couple weeks ago. Releasing the Epstein files must be an imminent objective. Teresa Helms, who was assaulted by Epstein in early 2000. So he's saying we're not going to victimize any of these women by releasing any information. They want it released. They want this shit released.
Because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Come on, man.
If
Believe
you
me,
have
bro.
access to it.
If I have it. Period.
Right.
If
Believe
I
me,
have it.
bro.
If I have it.
So
Where else would it be?
I don't know.
If you have it.
Under
Right.
my chair,
But
in
you
my
can't
back
say you have
pocket.
it
No, we're giving you everything we have.
so far.
Everything we have so far is
Have
the
you
Well,
guys
let's see it, man.
gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
So he
Right.
has seen it. What has he
And-
seen?
And
Let's
is
see
there
it.
video from the island?
Not of what you want. The people out there have filled the void with can't wait to see X, Y, or Z.
Right, speculation.
And I'm like, here's the other thing I've been asking.
All right, so look, he's saying if he's got the information, he's going to release it. He's doing an investigation. He's dogged about it. He's going to get this information to you. And then there towards the end of the interview, this is all happening in real time. This is when Elon Musk decides to drop the big bomb, his big bomb tweet.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, no, I want my agents on mission. I don't need them briefing me. I can call them. I can talk to them later. And so it's just stuff like that.
Since we were talking about fake news, this is going to come up because it's been going on since we've been recording here.
Uh-oh.
Elon and Trump seem to be in a bit of a spat, Joe. You want to check the tweet that Elon just put out a little bit ago?
Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Jesus Christ.
I'm not participating in any of that conversation
What is
between Elon
have a
and Trump.
nice day, DJT. Someone should take his phone away.
They're going back and forth about different things. And
Yeah. Listen,
Well, he said he was disappointed in Elon.
yeah,
Yeah.
they told him to leave.
Jesus Christ, that's a crazy thing to say. How does he know? Does he know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Or does he have access to the Epstein files?
I don't know how he would, but I'm just staying out of the Trump Elon thing. That's way outside
What
my
the
lane.
fuck are they?
Whoa, hold on. You are the director of the fucking FBI. Oh, that's between Donald Trump and I. You know, I mean, I thought you were going to release the files, man. I thought you were going to, you know, what does he know? I would really like to know. But looking at Kash squirm is just chef's kiss.
I know my lane, and that ain't it.
I just don't.
It is literally your lane.
I mean, I understand he owns Twitter, I think it's bad for your mental health. I think posting things public all day and arguing with people all day is bad for you.
Donald Trump does the same fucking thing. He's immediately going for cover. Joe Rogan in the last year or so has been basically just, let's just wash the reputation of every rich douche canoe I could fucking find. He had on Mark Zuckerberg. He had on Elon Musk a whole bunch of times. He had that egg head shaped guy, Mark Andreessen, on, who used to own Netscape. I think he's like just another Silicon Valley douchebag billionaire type. He keeps bringing all these people on to just give them cover. Joe Rogan has got like a billionaire's waiting room, and they're all waiting to get on there. And the reason why they want to is because Joe Rogan, he's not the sharpest tool in the box, you know, and they know that they can just go on his show and just whitewash anything that they want to. They can say anything they want to, and Joe go, wow, man, that's really cool. You know, wow, that's really fascinating, man. Yeah, man. I hear you, man. We need a technate. Yeah, man. Yeah, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Yeah, man, the laptop. Yeah, man. You're just trying to, you're trying to earn a living, man. You're just like a working guy there, Elon, man. Yeah, man. Everything is cool. Everything is wonderful. Everything is great, man.
You raise a great point. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Half of what we have to respond to is the click army on social media.
Right.
Right.
And 50% of that plus is bots.
50% of that plus is bots.
I mean,
But
how
let's take the other.
we were just talking about Elon doing this, and now he's just switching over. Now we're having a conversation about bots. You saying that a bot released this?
Percent of that is just constantly pushing out information to sell T-shirts or subscriptions or whatever. Listen to my show. And then people are like, hey, FBI, why aren't you looking at this thing in Oklahoma? And I'm like, because it's fake. I don't have time for that. And
Right.
and so to your point on like,
Man, so they've just kind of just gone off the topic, and I mean, that could happen right in front of him, right in front of Joe talking about Epstein for like 20 minutes straight, and then this thing pops out. Anyway, I just find this whole situation really fascinating. I find that Elon, having his little fit about Donald Trump, breaking up with him and kicking him to the curb, and then the Twitter fight, and the fact that it is having a huge effect, because if right now we are watching Donald Trump send military troops to LA, and all of that is to distract from this shit right here. He does not want this stuff to come out, man. I do not know what kind of information Epstein had on him, but obviously it wasn't good, because I kind of want to see it again. I just out of curiosity, just for funsies, Let's just watch this one more again.
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so, because you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because it's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least.
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Come on, man. That is just pure fucking genius. I love it. I love it. Donald Trump, he's absolutely in those fucking files, man. And if they ever release them, he would probably lose his shit and he would call it fake news. But he doesn't have to worry about that, because he's got Kash on his side. And don't you worry. Kash is going to release those files that he can. He's going to release the footage that he's able to, that he's allowed to. And, Joe Rogan, who's Mr. Conspiracy, Mr. On the Case, Mr. I gotta find out, I gotta get to the bottom of this, was immediately just distracted and, oh, let me tell you about my time as a prosecutor, and oh, oh yeah, man, I'm the one that released the COVID files. Wait till those things come out, and then I'm going to release the the JFK files, and I'm going to release the 9/11 files. I'm on it, man. And oh, you should have seen me back in the day when I was all over the Russiagate scandal. And these are unserious people, man, and they are running our fucking government. It is absolutely disturbing. But watching these guys squirm in real time is pretty fucking hilarious. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.